All right, so at the moment with the weather and geomagnetic conditions, upload speeds are good out here even. So I'm gonna try and keep this short. Uh, Mentioned I had a sick cat. Um, I went to one animal shelter that I had gone to many times before. I'd known that they're usually pretty good about it. Something was kind of creeping up in the back of my mind, and I didn't really think much about it until later. Um, so we did some very expensive testing, though not the most expensive testing. And what they basically came to was the only tests that we had yet to do was things that were like leukemia testing, which was like $1,000 for the test. And the doctor was like, the vet was like, basically we can rule all these other things out. We kind of figured that's what it is. We need to think about quality of life. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take him home and think about it and spend some time before I make this decision. But I'm not making the decision today. And so I went home, and the more I got to thinking about it, I did some looking on all the things that they told me about. I tried to find any further information that I could. And I didn't really come up with a whole lot. There's a few things here and there, some suggestions about kidney health, possible hormone deficiency or kidney failure that can. Cats oftentimes in their older age have progressive kidney failure that is a chronic disease that leads to the anemia because the kidneys produce a hormone that causes their marrow to produce red blood cells. Now, his body's producing all the other kinds of cells, and they said that the tests show that the white blood cells are not consuming the red blood cells. So, there's a little bit of a contradiction there. And that was where I kind of remembered that it seemed to me that these guys at this one place, like they got cameras in every room, and I get having that in there, but it's like if you're recording that, you're recording every person breaking down at the prospect of losing their fur baby. And if you're familiar with the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, or It, which is associated with the Dark Tower, you know about these toad-ash monsters that feed on emotions. So, looking at the situation with the kitty cat, he's low on red blood cells, but his plasma, his platelets, everything else is fine. Anemia can come from an injury. It's possible that he hurt himself internally, possibly his back or something. Maybe didn't bleed, but the immune response consumed a lot. I don't know. And it's possible the anemia has something to do with the fact that he's been overweight, probably diabetic, and there's, unfortunately, because he's a cat, very little I can do, and one person and 6 cats in a house and a work schedule. I've been working on trying to find ways to kind of isolate him. At this point, make sure that he overeats. I've got him to regain a little bit of appetite. He was not keen on drinking water too much, but I did get a just little tiny smidge of powdered milk into the water and stirred up, and got him to drink a fair bit today. So he's actually more hydrated now than he has been. He was also a fair bit more energetic, although looking like maybe in pain a little bit. So we're getting somewhere on being able to observe and get something where before he wasn't. It was just, I don't feel good. That's all I could get. Um, he was up and munching at the dry food and picking around in the kitchen until he saw that I was here, and then he went on back to his hospital room, which is a bedroom off of my bedroom. Um, but today when I left, he was up on top of a bunk bed, like the top bunk, and there's kind of short little hops to get down on a bookshelf and down on the mattress and whatever. He's obviously making his way around, and maybe he's a little sore from the movement, but at first I got him to smash on the gravy from some beef and liver based shreds, and he ate some of the shreds, but mostly it was the gravy. Definitely dehydrated. Um, Got him eating a really sizable amount over the course of a couple sittings here, at least before I left for work, and then after I got back, and possibly a little bit in between before he moved off the bed, of salmon pate. He really has the thing for the salmon, and so wet food, as I found from looking up, is a good way to help hydrate. So between getting him to really take in like a couple of tablespoons, and we're talking about an 8-pound cat. It used to be 20, but at 8 pounds, he took in a couple tablespoons of water with a little eensy bit of milk. And the thing is, kittens can drink lactose, but as they become older, they can't. But the thing is, between a little bit of apple cider vinegar, just a little eensiest drop mixed in with the beef shreds the other day, and he smashed down into that, and then just this little eensy bit of lactose, I think we're going to, if he's having issues with his gut biome, we're going to get that restarted. So then it's a possibility, was there something he ate? All kinds of things. So he's got better energy. The hydration was noticeable. So now I'm going to be paying attention to his former fat and make sure that he's not just filling up with fluid. There is a disorder that kittens go through called FIP, and sometimes adult cats get it too. Feline... in something... oh my gosh, I had it. Anyways, it is an infection that comes from poor recovery from a particular type of virus. The feline version, which is not... I don't think it's even in the same family, but it's part of the reason why cats can catch the one that's going around. So that was the thing I was wondering about, was this all started about the time I started delivering pizza. And so initial exposure to more people around the town. I wonder if I accidentally carried some Delta, and this is what he's dealing with. I don't know. Whatever the reason is that he felt terrible. He still kind of labored breathing and whatever, because he's anemic, because he's severely dehydrated. Now, I was watching him eat. I would watch him eat, so I don't understand this, right? But come a point there where he just, happened to be kind of shadow out of the way, and I'd make sure to see where everybody is every time. But it's like, if he's just laying there sleeping, I don't wake him up, I don't wake anybody up when they're sleeping. I'm a little pet. But somehow or another here, this has got to where it is, which is, I feel terrible about. So, right now, he still has the tendency to kind of want to hide out someplace dark and out of the way. Part of this might be also rambunctious princess. Seems like she's kind of in a mood. But this isn't all the time, so unless there's something going on every time I leave, like, Dad's not here, the rules are different. But I've gotten him to eat the last several days in a row more than he's probably eaten in the last week. And definitely more water than I've seen him drink in a while through that milk. He didn't really get him to drink much tonight, but he ate a whole bunch more of the salmon. And I've got more of that. There's way more where that came from. And I'm about to stock up on prep supply for cat food, and I'll just make sure that he's getting salmon. Because the salmon's got kind of a red meat component. It's a protein. It's what he needs to help. And maybe he's missing the nutrients that are required to produce the red blood cells. So, trying to hydrate, trying to get him to, and his body knows he eats the stuff, and he's careful and slow about it. I've been monitoring his stools. So we're going to see tonight or tomorrow if he lays anything, or if this is just binding him up. And if that's the case, then he's going to have to go on more of a liquid diet. And if this is what it is, then we're looking at something where his body cannot produce what it needs to, and then we legitimately do have to look at quality of life. However, before I make that decision, what I'm going to do is get a second opinion with another vet. And after the time it takes to get into the appointment, I'm going to make this call on Monday to make the appointment. At that time, I'm going to splurge, and I'm going to make sure that they do another blood test at this other vet and check for all these same things. I want to find out what his red blood cell count is, how bad the anemia is after a week and a half of getting him to eat and drink again. I want to see if he's made slight improvement, in which case we need to talk about pain medication. We need to talk about, are there other diets, kidney diet or whatever, that we can put him on to help him with, because the first vet basically they mentioned it, and they didn't go into any details and said, well, we don't think it's probably, but the thing is, sometimes, and I've met, this is the thing about people around here, I met a surgeon, an orthopedic surgeon, that was going to operate on my now ex-wife, and he was the second opinion. And he had a completely different thing he wanted to do than what the first doctor wanted to do, and neither one of them were coming together enough that the workers' comp for the ex-wife were like, okay, we're going to get a third opinion. And the third opinion was like, okay, I see what they did, and I see what they did wrong too, and this is what I think, and you can consult somebody else, like, call another doctor, but this is, They went with it. It was what needed done. They got inside. Yep, sure enough, what they thought was wrong. Saying, why do these guys do an MRI without contrast dye? Why was this guy talking about removing the bursitis but not fixing the labrum when the labrum's the problem? And then at the same time, the other guy's saying, we're going to cut the bicep tendon and that's going to solve the whole problem. Well, the guy that wanted to cut the bicep tendon was one of those surgeons that just likes to cut. He wants to do surgery. And I think that, unfortunately, either through a corruption of spirit because of too much exposure to the negativity, or just someone with this underlying pathological trait happens to also be highly educated in a position to be operating an animal hospital. I've heard rumors that some of these vets like to kill cats. That's my son. So I'm going to try and nurse him back to health. I'm going to do everything that I possibly can. I'm praying hard. I appreciate any other help and prayers. He seems to be doing a little bit better today, but I'm not trying to get false hope or hold my breath or anything. But I am going to attempt to nourish him better and stay on it. After Sunday, I've got 4 straight days off, and I'm going to be nurse for Daddy Rob again, like I used to be with the ex-wife. And I'm going to nurse my cat for the week. And then when I get to a doctor's appointment, I'm going to find out what his red blood cell count looks like. He was at 9 point. I did not get paperwork of any of this. The test results, I didn't get them. I believe it was 9.45 was his red cell count. So I'm going to find out if it's higher in a week here, because I've been feeding him and hydrating him and he's in better shape. Then definitely that will mean that I don't have to put my first son down. So, fingers crossed, hands clasped, prayers, hearts open. As pertaining to Rose had said, I'll pray on the blood of Christ over my cat. I'm not ready to lose him. He's only 5. He's a vibrant kitty and in good spirits nonetheless. He's tired. Yeah, he's sore. But he's glad to see me. He crawled up on my lap and snuggled. So I sat on the floor to say hi to him when I got home, and he was just all about seeing me. So, I don't feel like he's given up. He just doesn't know what else to do but to get out of the way and try and relax and deal with it. So the other thing is, this insane lethargy also could be something to do with if I have somehow brought a Delta home at that point, and that he should be getting over it. So then the thing is, the FIP comes from that feline cove, and this might be a similar kind of, it's peritonitis, feline eye something peritonitis, and the peritonitis is the the infection and fluid of the body's inability to properly process and get rid of a virus. It used to be incurable. It is now something that there is a treatment for the worst, what was formerly a terminal prognosis. There is now a cure. It is now patented. It has a commercial name, and it is unfortunately expensive. Let me tell you something funny about this. If you look up, I believe it was GC346 was the initial experimental name of the drug. You look that up. It was considered and found to be, and then memory hold, because it's not profitable enough, I think, to be effective against those pesky beta coronavirus strains as well. It's an antiviral. So anyways, that is the current update with the kitties. As far as how the others are dealing with it, the sisters are definitely worried. They're definitely concerned about their brother. I know he annoys them, and I know they're cats, and their empathy is limited. However, we are a bonded family unit, and they know that he is ill. They can read it off of me, and they can see it with him. Aunt Roger is not really taking care of him, but it seems like I think she might be going to kind of keep an eye on Princess a little bit here and there, make sure she doesn't pester him, because he was trying to eat, and Princess was batting him, and I was having to stop with her. Then I ended up bleeding after she just really was vivacious. So yeah, it's the world is stressful. I try not to bring that stress home. It is impossible not to. I don't take it out on them, but just the very aura of vibration of the room with the way the world is, or the tone of voice of things I listen to on videos or whatever, that it does get to them too. So, as things progress here, we can only hope that with the advent of shit hitting fan and the collapse of the internet and everything else like that, that while it will be stressful, it will be much less negative, far more hopeful. And I've also got a few people that have told, like, we're talking about serious shortages and collapses if it comes in our town here around Burlington to actual, riotousness or some San Andreas freaking style GTA running gun for real. There's a few people I've been like, where my house is. Bring all your dried goods, bring some clothes, anything that you can fit, and we'll work it out. But yeah, it's, I'm not trying to rent the place out on a regular basis or whatever, but in an emergency sense, I got a few people that would not fare well in town, just, apartment dwelling or whatever, and it's like, okay, you're a long time friend, come here. And skilled people too, so that's good. Where I'm at, there's, I don't think there's really any worry about, thieving marauders coming up from the creek, for the most part. And as far as the rest of the lay of the land goes, it's a dead-end road. Across the creek at the dead-end part, down at the bottom of the hilly end of my road, there's actually a fruit orchard of many different fruit trees that the county has planted and maintained. And then the rest of the road on up to Prairie Grove Road is basically a dead end, kind of like a cul-de-sac, and there's another cul-de-sac that comes off the side. It's all gravel, mind you. Not really a cul-de-sac, but I'm just saying, like, there's probably a good 24 residential plots on my road. So we have a nice little community that we could have. Lots of skilled people, lots of different trades and different everything. That if things got to that point, we'd cut off and isolate from society, we'd probably do all right out here. But until that happens, unfortunately, there's this other negativity to try and deal with, and I try not to let it get to me, but I'm hoping it's not also poisoning my cats emotionally. They're very sensitive to things like tone of voice. But anyways, coming up on 18 minutes, gonna let it go here. I think Princess is a little young to understand, a little different type, and so I'm hoping we don't have too much conflict. I'm hoping that she's not taunting and bullying Steve when I'm not here or anything like that. Like I said, the sister cats, the girls are definitely, you can tell they're a little nervous, they're a little on edge because they don't know what this means. And Roger's a tuxedo cat. She's a whole different thing too. She's quite smart, but she sees I've got it in hand, I think, and like I said, I think she may end up playing goalie with Princess keeping her away or something. That she'll get in on it. She comes around. So that's where it is right now. Like I said, prayers and whatever. Fingers are crossed, and so's the cross, right? Like I'm hoping, I'm praying, I'm doing what I can. I'm trying to be as observant as possible and see if this is something that he can bounce back from, because it's going to be a pain in the ass to change my PayPal name. It's going to be beyond a pain in the ass. It's going to be world-rending to have to deal with a loss like that at this point. Yeah, so here's hoping. Please pray, and anything changes, I'll let you know. We're gonna get through this. That's my mantra. Gonna get through it.